Welcome to the Profitable Farmer Podcast, where it's all about increasing the profitability of your farm by working smarter, not harder.
In this episode of Profitable Farmer, my guest and I speak to the strategic plan that they have constructed for their business. You may not be able to see the strategic plan that they are specifically speaking to, but enjoy this podcast anyway. I deeply believe that it offers incredible inspiration and incredible insight as I interview some of our Farm Owner Academy clients about the results they're getting through the Take Control program. In this episode of the Profitable Farmer podcast, we take an excerpt from an internal webinar we ran last month with one of our Farm Owner Academy clients. Please know that this is a recording of that webinar in which my guest speaks to their strategic plan. You'll get an insight into the quality of their strategic plan and just how well they're implementing, but also you'll get a feel for our webinars that we run internally for our Farm Owner Academy clients as they move through our various programs. Enjoy this, and I hope it serves as real inspiration for you as you get set for your 2022 season.
G'day and Happy New Year. I hope that the festive season has treated you kindly and that you're getting some well-earned rest after what was a pretty big finish and a significant finish for a lot of people at the end of 2021. But all the best to you this year. And all the best to you. And I hope, as I say, that you and your family are getting a well-earned break. In this next podcast and the one that follows, I'm delighted to interview two of our Platinum Mastermind members who joined Farm Owners Academy for very different reasons and at very different stages of their business development journey. So in this podcast, I interview Jack Owen. And in the next podcast, I'm delighted to interview Ben Taylor. Now, both of these individuals and both of these families joined us through the Take Control program. And over the next few months, we're running a campaign promoting Take Control program to our community. It is a fantastic mindset, entrepreneurial, and business strategy training. So if you're looking for better planning and you're looking for more clarity and you're looking to set up a rhythm in your business that can get stuff done strategically to help you genuinely move forward, then this is the program for you. There's 5 components to it. Take control of you, your mindset, take control of your time, take control of your business, take control of your team, and take control of your money. And in these next 2 series of interviews, you're going to hear just how much Jack Owen gleaned from this program, how well he applied it, and the results that has had and continues to have across his business as he sets down foundations to genuinely grow out a really successful farm business over the next few years. And in the next podcast, you'll get to hear similar about how Ben Taylor and his family have applied this to an established cropping enterprise in southern Queensland. 2 wonderful members of our community, 2 great businessmen in their own right, and 2 incredible interviews. For now, enjoy this interview with Jack Owen from Victoria as he shares his story on how he's applied what he's learning through Farm Owners Academy to his business and the impact that Take Control program has had for him.
Jack, welcome and thank you for being available and being willing to share your story since Take Control and your strategic plan, method and document with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hutch. It's great to be here. Happy to help, so good.
Good on you, Jack. So, Jack, just to kick off, would you mind giving us a bit of the backstory pre-Take Control, how you arrived to your farm, how the transition played out, and your move to being part-time on the farm to full-time?
Yep. So, wind the clock back a bit. I grew up on the farm and loved every minute of it. But when it come to choosing a career, it was get a trade and have something to fall back on. So left the farm and become an electrician. So qualified electrician by trade, and finished up there and decided I want to go farming. That's all I ever wanted to do. So I may as well do it. And got an opportunity to actually lease some ground, and thought, right, now's my chance. I'll get out there and I'll conquer the world. So I was 24 at the time, and 12 months went past and I was 25 and I had nothing to show for my 12 months of effort on this farming journey of mine. And I thought, wow, is this the next 40 years going to look like this? Or I just couldn't understand how I didn't make money. I was working big hours, so I was putting in the effort, and everyone made money along the journey except for me in that 12 months. And I thought, right. And I come home and I was absolutely deflated. I just didn't know what to do. And then, I started searching around and I found the Take Control program. So I give that a go. Yeah.
What enterprises were you running on that lease block initially?
It was all trade lambs. So buying lambs, spring sucker lambs, shear them and turn them out, sell them as sort of heavy export, I guess you'd call them. Yeah. But
and was that full-time post being a trade sparky, or was it something you were trying to juggle in conjunction with being an electrician?
No, I fully jumped in the deep end, and then as I realised it wasn't working out, I picked up the handpiece and took that back up from previous years, and then I actually got a job on a farm sort of next door to the lease block, which helped out a lot because I was right next door. Very, very handy people to work for. I got use of their machinery, and that helped a lot. I think I would have went down a lot quicker if it wasn't for them. But it was an interesting 12 months, a lot of learnings from it. But looking back, it was a big blur. I was making decisions based on nothing, probably emotion more than anything. Had no data, and it was something had to change. And I knew there was something more out there because no one would farm if that was going to be like that. Couldn't see anyone being a farmer if that was what I was going to be like.
I think you'd be resonating with a lot of people listening that in any industry and any enterprise, unless you're in that top 20, 25%, it can be a really hard game to be in, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't a fun game either. Come home after a big day and it was really deflating. It really was. Yeah. And if it didn't change, I probably wouldn't be doing it today. Yeah.
And if it didn't change, would it have been a financial thing that pulled you up, or burnout?
A mix of both. Financial, probably a passion loss. Burnout as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then it would have come back to, at least you got a trade to fall back on and, put my tail between my legs and go back and ask for my job back.
Jack, I think that's when we came to know you, was that you were working on the farm next door, managing that place and leasing this place. What changed? Tell me about how you sort of moved through Take Control and the impact that's had and what you've applied.
Yeah, so I did Take Control. Everything stayed the same, but I just did Take Control in the mornings. So I'd get up early and I'd just do some Take Control, and always just had it in my mind, if I just did 1%, if I learnt something new every day, the compounding effect of that would exponentially grow. And I just thought, right, well, I just got to keep doing it. You know, it was pretty tough because I didn't want to keep leasing the land and, you know, doing all that same old, but I had that. I knew I was doing something different compared to the below average that I was doing the previous year. And, that's where the shift come from. And learning a lot about that, I actually then approached my parents and said, I want to come back home. I want to take this on.
So you were quite disciplined around that morning learning, as I understand. Is that an approach that you'd recommend, getting that learning in early and making it a regular discipline?
Yeah, for sure. A lot's changed now with the way I run my mornings, but the learning in the morning is still number one, like still a priority. Just being fresh, you know, coming home after a long day and saying, I'll do some bookwork or I'll do some take control. It never happens. You come home and there's always something, or you get stuck at work. So, yeah. That was my discipline, waking up early and just get it done. I'd paid for it, so I may as well make the most of it.
But just to jump forward to today, and you started to mention that you approached your parents. How does life look like for you in terms of the farm that you run and the enterprises that are on it compared to what it did look like when you started Take Control?
Yeah. So it's very simple now. I've sort of reeled it all back in and just brought some simplicity to the business. But there's only one enterprise in the whole business, and it's so simple, but it's so profitable that it's just doesn't make sense for me to go out and dip my toe in a different enterprise. Yeah.
So when you took on your family farm in addition to your lease block, how many enterprises were there?
There was 5, actually. Yeah, 5 all up. Yeah.
So do you mind just describing those?
Yeah, so the lease block was trading sheep opportunistically. And then we had a merino to maternal merino, so merino to merino, and then a merino to first cross, Border Leicester, and then a Border Leicester to a terminal, and then also a cropping enterprise as well.
Program. And when you reflect back on that, how complex was that to exist within?
Everything had to go right for it to flow. For that flywheel to turn, everything just had to be right. And, when lambs were good, we didn't have a lot of them. And if wool was good, we didn't have a lot of it. So couldn't capitalise on those market opportunities. Yeah, whereas now it's just one simple enterprise, and we'll ride the wave with the way that market travels. But when it's high, we're in the money, and when it's low, we can conserve and we'll still be profitable.
What is that enterprise now, and what had that one come to the top of the pile for you as you were going through that simplification process?
Yeah, so it's a maternal composite flock. So it's a maternal prime line flock. Actually come about through you, Hutch. I listened to a podcast one day, and it's the only ever farm owners podcast I've listened to. And I don't know why I listened to it, but for some reason it popped up and I listened to it. And so I rang Tom Bull, who's the stud master and director of Lampro, had a good chat, and continuous chats after that. And he's become a great mentor, really, in that side of things. And it was at the time when I was doing sort of setting up a team around me, I guess. I was making sure I had the right people around me. And I thought, what better person to have around me than someone who's leading the industry in this field and who's proactive as well, and who's growing their business and loves the achievement of their clients doing well. So if I could have him on my team, I'm halfway there before I've even started, really. And all I have to do is buy the sheep and the rams.
I think it's important to clarify. I reckon there's two types of teams. There's the team that we have in our operating structure, our farm hands, our shearers, our lamb markers, our harvest contractors and all. But then we've got our executive team. Who are the leaders that we need around us to help us shoot the lights out and jump up into that top 10% of performance. And just on that, Jack, having Tom Bull and Greg Johnson and some of the farm owners, business coach, and having you've sought out people to be mentors and on your leadership team. How much of an impact has that had for you?
Yeah, well, there's not a day that goes by where I wouldn't talk to one of them people. Yeah. So on that executive team, I've probably got a dozen people sitting there that are just, and it might just be a text message or a Slack message, whether it's a mastermind call, whether it's a Q&A growth session on Zoom. I really, being young and a startup, I really lean into those people because I can learn a lot from them. And not that I don't want to make mistakes, but I can minimise a lot of mistakes through the planning and just being vulnerable and asking them, really. And mistakes are good in a way, and you learn from them, and you got to have them. But a lot of them can be avoided and should be avoided, really.
Yeah. It just speaks to that point that our success is plus or minus the 8 people that we most surround ourselves in. And so, the question that I have for everyone listening is who do you have around you in your executive team who are helping you reduce the risk of poor decisions and make better ones? And who can you call on as a mentor and a guide to help you on this complex journey that we're all on? It's a great point, Jack. Jack, would you mind just sharing some of the key things that you learned on the Take Control journey that have helped you springboard from where you were to an incredibly profitable business, with a predictable and sustainable outcome?
Yeah, so the first one would be taking control of myself. I went to that module like a moth to a flame, really. I really do advocate that you have to get that right. That is priority one. Whatever's going on around you is only a reflection of what's going on inside you. And if you can get those basics right on yourself, it goes a long way to doing some great things with this program, for sure. Yeah.
That's why Take Control of You is the first part of this program. And I think you're right. I think it's the foundational one. I don't think that there's many other places where you can get mindset training in agriculture. Jack, you've been really disciplined, like that learning that you do in the mornings. Since you did tune in, I understand that you haven't missed a day, haven't missed a morning where you haven't exercised and done a morning routine to launch your day and set you up to be at your best. Is that still the case? You haven't missed a day? And what is your morning routine?
Yeah, no, I do need it, yeah, for sure. And it's something that's just a habit now that's it's fun and exciting, and I know the feeling at the end, how good it is, and the decisions I can make on the other end. That's why I do it. It's my morning routine is definitely not for everyone. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, so it's not, yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. I wouldn't advise to start there either. So it's 20 to 5, I'm up. Exercise, you've got to sweat, got to be sweating. If you want to know more about that, read the 5 a.m. Club book. Sweating, back home, meditating. I'm actually a member of Mindvalley. It's a what would you call it? A personal growth course. It's personal growth website that's got, hundreds of courses, and you just pick one, and they go for 15 days or 21 days or 30 days. So I do one of them as well. I'm actually in the middle of one at the moment. It's a yogi's path to joy, I think it's called, which is really exciting. It's just something new to learn. Previously I would never have done it, but it's just something different. It's not farming. It's just probably out of that comfort zone, really, and doing something different. Journaling, reading a book. I'm actually reading a book that's aligned with my cap at the moment. And then that's it. Yeah, that rounds up the 2 hours and 20 minutes, and then back, have brekkie and get into the day.
The other things that we advocate is sort of a gratitude reflection, or focusing in on gratitude, and even some affirmations, I am statements that help get set. Have you called on any of those tools to help you along the way?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing we do in this house between Bonnie and I is every night we've got to write 3 things we're grateful for, and share it with each other. So that was her doing, and it was different at the start, but I love it now. Like it's awesome, because it makes you think about the day and what actually did go right. So much goes right, but we always focus on that one little thing that went wrong. So, yeah. That's
brilliant, mate. Thank you. We can touch on this tune-in piece for a lot longer. What about, the cap and the take control piece? Because I know equally that you've launched in to that component of this take control program and consistently applied that to your business quarter on quarter for quite a few years now, or for quite a few quarters. Would you mind speaking to how you went about that? And then after this response, I might even get you to share it if that's okay.
Yep. Yeah, the cap. I think the cap was maybe 60% of it was in my head already before Farm Owners. I knew the direction I wanted to go. I knew that plan I wanted, but the way I was going about it was definitely not, in my view, wasn't going to get me there. But, it was more about just starting with something. Like my first cap didn't have any company standards, no core focus. It was just 10, 3, 1. That was it. And just to have something on paper, I was better off having something than nothing.
Yep.
And it just grows. Like my company standards have changed a lot as I grow my business and work out what's probably more important than profit.
Yeah. Control. The cap is our strategic planning method that you're going to learn as part of this program. So what we're touching on now is that strategic planning method. So Jack, would you be open to sharing the cap that you have now and taking us through the key elements of that? And I guess as we go, I'd just love to hear how this has helped you make stronger decisions and align people to, a common direction, and how much clarity this has allowed you to have in your role.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Can you see that now?
Yeah, I can. Absolutely. So again, for those of you working through Take Control, this strategic planning module and actually you creating your first clarity action plan is a core part. You might not have got there yet, but this is part of this program. So for me, this is just an amazing example of how to achieve and arrive to a compelling strategic plan that can align your family and your team. Thanks, Ben. Over to you. Thanks, Jack. Over to you.
Yeah, so this is first page. So company standards, they did take a long time to establish. Wording of them is huge, for me anyway. And not being afraid to take one out if it didn't feel right. The first time I did it, probably putting standards in that were just example standards rather than my own personal ones. Core focus, that's changed. That definitely has changed since the first one. More business focused rather than being confined to the boundary fences of my farm. And I love farming, but I think my farm can do more than what's on the inside of the boundary fences, if that makes sense.
But just to speak to those, our company standards are like our core values. They're the pillars around which you make decisions, stand out and drive forward. And core focus is really your vision statement for your business. And it has to be significant and it has to be really stretch you and your team. It has to enroll and inspire. And often we arrive to that core focus statement by answering those three questions that you can see there. What can you be best in the world at? What drives your economic engine? And what are you passionate about? So important. Those two things, I think, can govern every decision that we make in business. And no matter whether it's a minor, a medium, or a major decision, if you make decisions based on your pursuit of those two things, then it can make decision-making so much simpler as we get into the busyness of business. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, so 10-year goals. There's a lot of thought goes into them. They're just not random numbers pulled out of anywhere. They do all align with, acreage, how many acres, things like that within the farm. Lambing percentages is a correlation to the revenue and then the profit of that. Is the KPI down here with the 70% gross income. And the 800 kilos of lamb is a stretch, is a push, but I have seen it achieved in other farming systems, especially in Europe. So I don't have any doubt that can be emulated in Australia.
Be worth just letting people know where you farm, Jack, and you are in a high rainfall area, right?
Yes, I am. So 30 k's west of Ballarat, about I'd say 600 mil rainfall. This year a bit higher, but on average 600. So,
and 100% grazing, right?
Yeah, 100% grazing, all pastures. High intensity. The system is high intensity, which has a which has if anyone knows a high intensity system, it has a high input cost but a lower cost of production, because the more you produce, the lower that cost of production comes down, the more that low cost of production comes down.
Yeah.
So the feed bill might look big, but you're producing more lambs per hectare. So
I love that construct. We feel good about ourselves to the degree to which we feel like we're in control, and having core values, a vision statement, 10-year goal, 3-year goal, 1-year goal, and then a quarterly planning rhythm is what this document is designed to help you all achieve. For me, this is just as good an example as you'll see. How empowering for you, Jack, is it to have those 3 KPIs that clear and in that order for you as you go sort of get up and go about every day?
Yeah, they're always at the forefront of your mind. Always asking questions around them. How can I get better? That's the biggest question I ask myself every day. Yesterday was yesterday. Today's a new day. How can I be better than yesterday? That's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. And I don't have to get 200% lambs weaned tomorrow. It's a 10-year, it's a vision. So it's the journey, and I know I'll achieve it. I have no doubt in the world that 200% lamb weaning rates will become the normal. I have no doubt in the world that that'll become normal in a few years' time, and I'll be the first one to do it. So my BHAG, this is big, and I don't know how I'm going to achieve it, but it excites me. It gives me a thrill to read that line there, and to think of 1 billion people. It's a lot. It's a big number, but I just get lost thinking about all the ways that can happen, and there's a good little tool to reflect on that sometimes, I think.
BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And it's important to have something that you have no idea how you're going to achieve, and set that down as something that inspires and enrolls you and the people around you. I think that's incredible, Jack. And the thing I love about that, it's a lot of people have a BHAG around how big they want to be for them, but the fact that that's selfless, that you want to make an impact and on a group of people out there across the planet, for me, that often lends to being more enrolling and inspiring for you and those around you. But what an incredible and significant goal to go after. Brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. May as well make it as big as you can.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Most people massively overestimate what they can achieve in a year and then ridiculously underestimate what they can achieve in 10. And most of us also spend so much time focusing on yesterday and today, but true entrepreneurs design the future. And having this so clear and so strong on one page allows Jack to spend most of his time now designing his future, which is perfect. And so once you've got your 10-year goal, then it's about busting that down into a 3-year goal that is achievable and is attainable and is the thing that gets you on track in pursuit of the 10-year. So do you mind taking us through your 3-year goals, Jack?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, these aren't just numbers plucked out of anywhere. They're in relation to how many lambs I'm going to achieve to have and how many ewes there are, sales of those lambs and surplus ewes. And this is just what does it look like? A list of, if I sit back under a shady tree and I just think, well, what do I want in the next 3 years? This was pretty much the first 10 things that come to my head, business focused. And something that, like Hutch said, I can see it happening, and I have no doubt that it's not going to happen. I'll probably have no doubt it's going to happen a bit sooner than 3 years, but which some of these have changed because I did achieve some before the 3 years. So they were taken out and changed to new ones. But, quite happy with the way they sit at the moment and using them as a tool to drag into my 12-monthly plan as well.
We talk about goals needing to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And these tick all of those boxes. We can move through, and they're measurable enough that Jack knows exactly when he's achieved every single one of those. And how much clarity, Jack, does that give you on your focus now, in the short term?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of clarity around it because it's just so compact and, the bloke next door doesn't need to know what I'm doing, but I know what's happening. And I can come in here any time and spend 20 minutes just going through it. Am I on track? Can I do something different? Is what I'm doing today going to help me get winning rates of 200%? No. Well, why not? What do I need to do differently to get to that then? Do I need to ring someone and do a course on, lamb survival maybe? I don't know. I think you got to continually ask questions around these to get clarity. Yeah, and that's where that clarity comes from.
Love it. Ben, I haven't officially introduced you yet, but do you have a comment or question based on what you're seeing here from Jack?
I suppose to clarify what Jack's been speaking to, Hutch, their planning. Obviously, it's crucial. We use this tool quarterly. Every quarterly meeting, we revisit it frequently. Like Jack said, it changes, it evolves, especially as you become more comfortable with it. I think, was it Martin Luther King having no plan is planning to fail. So, and I wouldn't mind betting that probably 70-80% of farms would have nothing written down on a piece of paper. So anyone who's in this chat room or looking at a document like this is all of a sudden becoming a top producer. It doesn't matter what field or enterprise you're in. So there's a win for you right there. And gathering this data, Jack makes it very clear that this data just doesn't come from the air. So he's bang on about. So that comes down to knowing your numbers. So whether you've written that down on an envelope to gather that for the purpose of filling out this document, that will then evolve to an Excel spreadsheet. It may not happen tomorrow, but it'll happen in 2 weeks' time, 2 months' time. This evolves and it seems daunting at first, and I bet you Jack's cap looked exactly like ours, minimal, and it's. I'm a big fan of it, Hutch. Like I say, we speak to it as family at family meetings. So I hope that answers your question, mate. Well done, Jacko. I've enjoyed looking at that. And the big, hairy, audacious goal, that's asking the right questions. That's a big one to get your head around. And as a business owner and now stepping into the mindset of being the leader and the director, I'm challenging myself on asking the big questions. So that's a learnt skill. And the bigger and bolder it is, the better answers you may get out of your family members around you. You may get laughed at. You may be well received. It can be amazing where this little document can take you and how it can bring your family together through communication on a piece of paper.
Yeah, perfect, Ben. Thank you. So we'll touch on that more about how this has sort of brought your family together, Ben. I think it's a cracking story. But as you say, this is as good a clarity action plan as I've seen, guys. And I just think it's a credit to Jack, the level of rigour he's put into this. If you're looking at this and feeling a bit overwhelmed, just remember this is Jack's I'm going to guess it's 7th or 8th iteration of this. It's an evolutionary document. Your first one just needs to be draft version 1.0. But I'm just wanting to give you a vision here of what you can achieve if you stick at this over time. So, Jack, would you mind bringing us down to sort of 1 year and quarterly?
Yep. So here's the 1 year, 12-month goals. Very, very achievable, and something that's, you know, not overly out of reach, but enough to push my business and myself to get there. Like that new conception of greater than 97% doesn't just happen with hope and a prayer. It's, you know, I've got to push myself to get to there, and I've got to learn a lot, and I've got to go out and ask people and, you know, be vulnerable. Get people on your farm and get them to have a look at your sheep, and if they're not good enough, well, they're not good enough. Like, there's no if, buts, or what's about it. You got to learn to, for me personally, I've got to learn to get better. So that's, you know, these ones are pushing me, and I want to be pushed. I don't want to be average. And all these, well, yeah, a lot of them have been achieved already. Which probably comes back to the point where you do underestimate what you can do in 12 months. And I think that can be sometimes bad for your business if you're not pushing yourself, or you're not putting in enough time and effort planning wise to put something on here just because you know you can do it.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the key, Jack. Everything on there in your goals is a significant business improvement. Most people, to Ben's point, they don't have a plan, it's in their head. It's been proven that this method helps you achieve 7 times more in any given year than not having a plan or planning annually does. But everything you've got in there is something that is really going to move the needle in your business and help drive it forward. It's not just repairs to the shearing shed. These are major projects that are going to really see you drive productivity and performance. But look at the amount of capital improvement that you're making in a 12-month period. The payback on that has to be huge in terms of driving those KPIs that you speak to. It's amazing to know that you've already achieved most of these already.
Yeah, big emphasis on capital improvement for the reason that I'm 1 year into, who knows, hopefully a 40-year career in this business. So if I do it now, well, future generations are going to hopefully thank me for that.
Yeah, the payback's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
So the brick list. So we'll go back a step. So then taking the key actions from your annual goals and having 1 or 2 or 3 only. Like a lot of people put 14 quarterly goals down. You've clearly just focused on what are my 3. What is it that had you choose 3, not 14?
You've got to achieve them. Yeah, you can't go into a quarter, I believe, and have 14 and tick off 3 and be happy. When I planned this, I knew I wasn't going to make any profit or revenue for that quarter, and that's okay. I'm happy with that. But I knew I needed to do the next best things to set me up for January 1st. So ram selection, that's a big one because that's future generations of sheep in the system. Refinance with the bank, that's a massive one. Get it done. For me, it was get it done while we're quiet, and update my budget. So 1st of January, I can come into my cap, look at my budget. Can some of these be achieved with the updated budget? More capital improvements, forward cash flow for feed. I buy in all my feed. Knowing all that data as well, that's quite important for me, my business. And I want to do it. I get a thrill, if you have a look at this, I get a thrill putting that green paint on that, ticking it off, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, so this third page of the Clarity Action Plan has you break all of those key projects down into action lists that are scheduled in your diary to get done.
Yeah.
And so many people write strategic plans, to your point, Jack, that, don't get implemented because they collect dust in a cupboard. The thing that I like about this method is that it is completely actionable week on week. And as you say, it allows us to delight in celebrating the execution of key tasks as we move through them. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I don't get overwhelmed. I think if there was 8 things on the list, like you look at that, there's nearly 20 hours of work there, plus all the other things I do on top of that. If I can do 20 hours this quarter that pushes me forward, well, I think it's a pretty good achievement.
So, Jack, is there another key learning or change that you've made from the Take Control program that you'd like to mention in addition to mindset and getting this planning method in place? What's been the other big impact that Take Control had on you?
Probably this make things simple and relax. Just, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you don't have to have the best farm tomorrow. And that was probably a big thing for me. I wanted the best farm. I wanted it yesterday. But now I understand that it is a journey, and you're going to find things in the Take Control program that align with you and other things that don't. Like the team building one in Take Control, I never really took any liking to it because I didn't have a team. I didn't need to build a team at that time. But as of now, I'm looking to build a team. So now I use it, and I did Take Control 2 years ago. So it is a forever ongoing journey, and just to relax, do the work. Don't relax and think it's going to happen by doing nothing. But
that's brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
And a final tip for people moving through the program. I love that you suggest to do it in the morning and make it a regular daily practice. You've lent into the mindset piece, tune in. You've completely lent into the Take Control piece. And I think you're right. If that's what you need and you don't need to focus too much on systems or team yet, that's completely fine. But have you got a final tip for people moving through the program?
I always said if it's going to be, it's up to me. So if you're not going to come into this program, it's not a quick fix, anything like that. You got to put in the work, and it all comes down to how much you want it or how much you want to achieve from doing it. I've got some pretty big goals and that, so that's why I put in the effort to get there, and I have no doubt I'll get there. But I don't want to. I'm not here to be average, so that's why I play above average. Put in the work, put in the effort.
Yep. And you said this in your first comment that just today that, if you're not happy with things that are happening out there, the first thing and really the only thing we can change is what's in here. And, your closing statement speaks to your opening statement, Jack. So thank you, mate. Of all the people that have been through Take Control, I see you implementing at least as strongly as all of them. And so to Ben's point, if you've got a plan, you're kind of in the top 20%. I think you're already, playing at the elite level, Jack, and, those 3 and 10-year goals absolutely are well within your grasp. Mate, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you being open enough to share your journey and to share your plan. And I am absolutely sure that it's very motivating and inspiring for people going through this program at the moment.
Yeah, no worries. I hope someone got something out of it.
And there you have it, an incredible and inspiring interview with Jack Owen. Congratulations, Jack, on all your success so far with Farm Owners Academy, and thank you sincerely for your openness. In my next podcast, I have a similar but very different interview with Ben Taylor from Southern Queensland, who shares his Take Control journey with us and shares how it has impacted his established, successful family farming business and help his family come together, be more aligned, and achieve succession in a way in which they might not have considered possible. So I look forward to sharing that interview with you in coming weeks. For now, take care, thank you, and all the best.